Billie Eilish, Beck, Beyonce.
I was one of the first customer, I believe.
That is very hard to kind of know what should you reference with.
Man, that was eye-opening, it was awesome.
It's very sexy and nice.
I like good things.
You're saying that's not good enough, huh?
So let's welcome Anssi here. We are waiting here in a second. Here he is, so very welcome. The mic is yours.
It's Sunday. So nice to see so many of you here. Thank you for taking the time. I'm really humbled. It's nice to be here. I will say a few words about monitoring in general. Please, if you have a question, just raise your hand and let's try to make it a little bit interactive. I don't like to talk too much on my own. Amphion is a 26-year-old company out of Finland. We started from the home side, but in the past 12 years ventured quite heavily into the world of monitoring, and it's really humbling how much of the billboard stuff is actually nowadays made by our customers. Billie Eilish, Beck, Beyonce, Justin Bieber, just to name a few B ones. So choosing the right monitor, of course, this is a lot of stuff to choose from. Things to consider, operational principle, performance, placement, flexibility, upgrade possibilities, lifespan. We can cover, well, remember that monitor is just a tool, but a very important one. What's really nice when I talk to our customers, it says that they kind of say the same things. And one of the things that comes out quite often is that because it's so easy in some ways, the monitor in our particular case doesn't really have a sonic character of its own. So it kind of tells you what to do, and it doesn't have to be too complicated. I mean, the traditional ways, of course, that you kind of have to go or wanted to go between a lot of different things. In the old days, it was the car, it was the boombox, something in your monitors in between. Now, of course, you have iPods and mobile phones, whatever. So the playback industry or the playback side of things has become so fragmented that it's very hard to kind of know what should you reference with. And therefore, we try to come up with something that gives you certain things that makes things easier. So, of course, if it makes things easier, it increases your confidence and improves your productivity. Especially on the pro side, of course, you're kind of making your living by selling your very limited hours to the highest bidder. So it's very rare that people talk about how quickly can you finish and be ready. And I think one of the reasons for that is that we're all geeks. And we love what we're doing so much that we're not treating it as a job. It is a lifetime, kind of a lifestyle choice. And you add, I mean, I only half jokingly, I refer to the sound engineer guys as the male equivalent of female nurses. They kind of are willing to put the extra hours to make sure that everybody else is fine with, and not worry about their own self-being. But of course, this is okay if when you're young, but when you start having a life, a family, then of course it's important also that you become more productive. Because if things are easy, it saves you time. And then of course, you have increasing deadlines in the industry. It's becoming, especially on the music side, it's becoming crazy because there are tons and tons of last-minute revisions, which often you're not going to get paid for. So it's very, very important that your monitoring tells you what to do. Mistakes, of course, you can't afford to make them because they can cost your career very easily. And yes, it is the single. Of course, there's a lot of talk about different DAs or plugins or whatever, but I think monitoring is the most important single piece of equipment because it has the biggest effect on translation. This is interesting. I mean, what is performance actually? Because very often people look at specs when they look for a monitor, of course, let's say, I mean, specs can be deceiving because there's always a little bit different ways of looking at things, and for example, on the amplification side, not all watts are equal. I mean, you can look from a traditional AB class class amps and their wattage now versus the new D class amps, and of course we have a lot of watts, but do we actually have? Are they worth what they're saying? Often not, actually. So I would not rely on the specs alone. Also, companies skimp a little bit on how they measure, let's say, low level, very big difference if it's -3, -6, whatever. And of course, the performance, is it sonics of your monitor or sonics of your work? And what I mean by this is it's very rare that people are looking at the end results. When they're evaluating monitors, they are focusing on how does the monitor sound. And that ultimately, it's not really the most important thing, because ultimately the most important thing is not what you hear, it's what your customers hear. And this is the tricky part, because on the other hand, of course, we're all enthusiasts and we want to enjoy what we're doing, but often when monitor is beautifying things, it's actually going to bite you in the behind, because once it goes to the next stage, it doesn't sound like you thought it would sound. And I think this is really important. Do you choose the one that sounds best, or do you choose the one that works best? And therefore, I think it's wonderful that you have this opportunity here in Dubai now, that you can actually come in and maybe even do some work in that room. So, because the only way actually to know if something works for you is, yeah, you need your reference track, which is important, but ultimately you need to work with it to know if it works. And actually work in your own room, do some mixes in your own room to know if it's there. Okay, we can cover a little bit of the passive versus active. Of course, Amphion as a company, we are very, very different from the traditional market, because if you look at the studio monitors, they are 99% actives nowadays. There are reasons for that, but it's not, everything is not as it is in paper. Of course, pros on the Versus is easier for the customer because you kind of get the whole package. There's possibilities of doing protection so that there won't be any let's say greater damage or whatever. It's also cheaper to make, and it looks often great on paper. But the problem nowadays, especially with the modern monitors, is that they are becoming very complex. Because nowadays you're adding a lot of DSP often, so you get ADDA stages. You are maybe adding room correction integrated into the speaker. So actually, when you think of the single path, it's not simple. It's not very transparent, and I think you can also hear that a little bit in often lack of dynamics. There's especially with the DSP, there's smearing very easily that happens. So we take a little bit of a different route. I'm a big believer in life that the best results are actually achieved by creating synergies from somebody who specializes on their field. So of course, when I talk to the DA manufacturers who've spent half their life in trying to perfect that conversion chain, AD or DA conversion, and of course, in the old days, often you spend a lot of time in choosing your DA because they all had their different flavors. Nowadays, when the manufacturers, speaker manufacturers, suddenly have started to throw in the conversion into the products as well, so where does that lead the DA guys and their knowledge? So that's why we keep doing things mostly on a passive domain, because we do believe that it allows us to get higher transparency and performance. Of course, it's more difficult for the customer because you need to choose the amp and cables or whatever. But that's why we kind of supply the whole package to make it easy for the customer. And it's of course more expensive to make, unfortunately. This I could talk all day about, and luckily we don't have that. So you can pull my sleeve later on this. So last time I checked, DSP stands for digital signal processing and not digital speaker processing, like it seems to translate today. It's very sexy and nice on paper because it's integrated and easy to use, and especially if you integrate the room correction software. Oh, suddenly I don't need a good room. I don't have to spend any money in acoustics. Now I can just do a little correction curve, and I have everything I need. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But yes, there are probably more roads that lead to Rome, that we strongly believe that we should keep all this digital stuff outside the speaker, because at the speaker we're really wrestling with the laws of acoustics. And to me, a good pair of monitor is like a good pair of shoes. And of course, the ladies don't understand what I'm talking about, but for a guy, when you find a good pair of shoes and you break it in, that's all you're gonna wear. You want to wear. And in that sense, I think choosing a monitor is one of the most important things you need to do. And once you learn it, then make sure that it doesn't age prematurely on you. Also, I'm a big believer that all the speaker companies are relatively small. So how on earth is it possible that when they were before wrestling just with the acoustics and electronics, now suddenly they know everything about the AD/DA conversion and the DSP as well. So unfortunately, they didn't get that smart overnight. They actually started using third-party suppliers for those, and unfortunately then products become very similar. And I think one of the reasons why and how you can actually differentiate yourself and your work is by the tools you use. And of course, I talked about already that as there is already so much unnecessary in the signal path, like the DA, you can't choose your DA anymore, or even if you choose a DA, it doesn't give you don't get the full flavor because of the complexity of the signal time. And the wonderful thing about the digital is that or you can say that it's the beauty of digital is the curse of digital, because yes, it gives the development speed is very fast. It gives us newer, better, maybe at least cheaper products, but unfortunately, prematurely ages everything it touches. Placement acoustics, very quickly, of course, we are always looking at doing an equivalent, even triangle. That is, of course, everybody in this room knows, but I think what is important is the room acoustics, because that we don't pay too much attention to, and especially it's actually worryingly rare to come to a good room, because a lot of acousticians seem to, sometimes it feels to me that do they get actually paid by how much rock wool they put or some other damping they put into the room, because a lot of the rooms are so dead, and they focus on direct sound only. And I always say that if the nature needed or meant for us to listen to the direct sound, they would have planted the ears on our foreheads. And they luckily didn't do that. They're actually to the side. And it means that we need to make sure that we have a certain amount of reflections, because otherwise the room is super fatiguing and unnatural to be in. And it doesn't also translate, because you won't have those kind of rooms anywhere. So I always tend to say to our customers that finalize the acoustics only when you have the speakers in the room. Don't do it before, because especially the off-axis responses and how the speakers work in that respect are very different. For example, in our case, we're very focused that the off-axis responses are actually even and therefore the reflected balance is actually healthy. But there are others that are more focused on the on-axis, and then probably you need to do more damping to the side walls. A few things. Very often you see a screen sitting in front of the speakers. And that, if you are doing that today, I would advise you to try what happens if you move it behind the speaker baffle line. Because especially with our stuff, it interferes with the imaging tremendously much. It's actually surprising how much the thing is. And sure, you need a screen, so try to tilt it somehow. Or the nice thing is that the big screens actually nowadays don't cost so much anymore. So often the best thing you can do for your studio is to invest in a screen and put it on the wall, because then acoustically the area and how the spatial environment around the speakers is actually free from this very, very harmful reflection. And then okay, flexibility and upgrade possibilities. Of course, normally selling upgradable solutions is not in the manufacturer's interest, because they just want to sell things again and again and again. And when we have listened to our customers, very typical career path is that you invest in something that you can afford. And then when your career grows and advances, often you land in a bigger room, better sounding room, and then you have a possibility and also need for doing a full range system. And therefore we have two bass systems that are add-on, bass 122, 225 and a flex bass, that then you just kind of turn your two-way monitor into a three-way full range and do the investment a couple of years later or whatever. So it's and actually something that our customers do quite a lot. Okay, cover the digital part. Yeah, we're there, of course, not to save the world in any way, but we try to come up with solutions that have a long lifetime, and therefore also if you find something that works for you, you don't have to worry about that getting changed or whatever. And of course, the laws of physics will not change, not in my lifetime, not in my kids' lifetime. So whatever advances we make there are going to stay valid. And of course, when the product is actually acoustically pure, it can be electrically simpler. So whatever we can achieve acoustically, we don't have to try to fix electrically. And whatever we can take away in terms of components and parts and general part count, it will increase resolution, transparency, detail, immediacy, etc. And of course, we keep the spare parts available for 10 years after the product has been discontinued. And yeah, that's the end of the boring part. Now hopefully some questions, and then we get to listen, which is the fun part. So, anything, anyone?
For the upgrade with the sub can. Thank you. When you upgrade with the sub, can you use only one sub with two monitors, or you need to have it in pair?
We have two systems. You see them in that room. We have Flex Base, which is a single box stereo sub that sits in the middle of the monitors. And then we have Base 225, which sits under the monitors, which is two-base solution.
Okay.
So, yes.
Perfect.
But if you want to upgrade yours, you actually need two, because then having one Flex under one of 125A, it's actually something that I haven't heard anywhere in terms of how impactful, but detailed and fast it is. So unfortunately, others can get by with one, but you need two.
So don't be shy, guys. So it's right time for the Q&A session. I saw that part of you were already playing in the room and for sure asked Anssi for something. But I see, yep. It will be great also for our online listeners, which cannot ask the question right now to Anssi. So if you have something in your mind, please don't be shy.
Hi. I know that most of, or if not, like 90% of your catalog is passive speakers. And we just saw one inside that is active. Is there a reason why you guys switched to that? Is this something that you're going to add more down the line? Or what is the reason for you guys to choose active for that particular series?
It's a very good question. I mean, we started and we will continue with the passives, because there are certain things we believe we managed to do that via that. One was actually that in that 12 years ago, the D-class amps were still developing very quickly. And by keeping that component separately, we could actually ensure that the monitor part stays 100% usable. And that actually took place because Amp 500, which is now phased out, is now replaced with Amp 700, and the sonic combination is much better. So that was one reason. One is, of course, also that we have a lot of mastering customers who also like to play a little bit with cabling and wires and stuff like that. So the nice thing about an active passive is that you can have a certain flexibility to fine-tuning the thing. But naturally, doing active and doing active right allows us to do things or address markets that we are not present today. For example, commercial studios where you do need to have protection circuitry, which is, of course, you can apply in a passive domain, but you can do it in an active domain. And the nice thing about the 125A, which is the active, is that actually the protection circuitry only comes into the signal path when it's not needed. So there isn't anything on the signal path that will deteriorate or lessen the signal, but it only comes into the play when you are running into the territory where you can damage your ear or your gear. Easier from a perception point of view to offer actives. Of course, we've been kind of fighting the whole world in trying to persuade people to, hey, take an active instead of, because I mean all the other companies are talking about the benefits of active, and that probably is a little bit easier. A lot of people said, I like how they sound, but I want an active. I say, why? I don't know. I just want an active. I'm used to actives. And so, yes, I think it would be totally foolish to spend all this money to create this active platform, which I actually think is the most resolving active speaker in the market at the moment, because it's very different from a traditional active in a way. The whole philosophy, again, is try to keep things as simple as possible. It has no op amps. It has no conversion, none. It's just as pure as possible. We've done a lot of things to make the box as good as possible. That is isolated. I mean, dual isolated, bass sitting in its own chamber. The other drivers in its own. All the electronics are housed outside the box, because if somebody tells you that the best place for electronics is inside a vibrating box, they're lying. There's all kinds of micro-level smearing and stuff like that that will happen on a component level. But why do they do it? It's just cheaper to do it that way. And now we have this very sturdy. You can take a look in the room. Housing where it's sitting, and of course you can also, the nice thing about that is that you can remove it, you can soffit mount it. It's the first Amphion you can soffit mount, which is one of the reasons why we went that route. And then of course, in case there are some issues, it's easier to send the amp than the whole damn 90 pounds to somebody to check up. But yes, who knows? There probably is something happening at that point.
Of this, sorry, more towards the smaller range of the speakers, maybe where space is an issue in terms of adding, amps and stuff like that.
The problem of that and the problem of the platform in a way was that it was not made for cost-saving reasons. It was actually made for performance reasons. So how much down we can take, that's another thing. But yeah, most likely it will not be our last active.
Sorry, one more question. What's the difference between home and pro audio when it comes to Amphion line?
We started from the home side, and funnily enough, we always had studios using our products, and it was probably due to the fact that we always felt that our job is to open a large, clean window into music and not really make this beautified hi-fi approach, which makes all the recordings sound better than they actually are. I mean, sure, we could argue that Mona Lisa is a little pale, and we could put a little makeup on her to make her look cooler, but she wouldn't be Mona Lisa in a way. And this is how we see the music. You guys do so much work and put your heart and soul into that. We, as a speaker manufacturer, we can't start changing things. It's our job to try to be as honest to your work as possible. And naturally, in the home side, sometimes you need to not lie, but you can't be 100% honest, because that would mean that there's a lot of, especially from the early 80s, heavy compression days, that a lot of the recordings would be totally unlistenable. So in that sense, it's easier to work as a speaker manufacturer on the pro side, because there we show everything. But on the home side, there's a little, you have to tippy-toe the line a little bit, that you are a little bit gentler in some ways. But the difference is not big. It's a very small balance. And I guess you could ultimately, use our home pro speakers in the studio as well, but because you have a better option there, so no need to do that.
What model of Amphion do you have at home for personal use?
Well, often, of course, the shoemakers' sons don't have any shoes, but we actually do, because it's too cold in Finland to be barefoot all year long. So we have a pair of 218s by the TV, and I'm in a funny position that my better half actually doesn't think it's big enough. She needs a bigger speaker. But hey.
I like good things.
You're saying that's not good enough, huh? It seems to be the good enough for the world's best sound engineers, but it's not good enough or big enough for you. Huh?
I have asked 125A to my TV.
Yeah, and the answer was that as soon as we catch up with the production and the people get their own, you may even have yours. So. But yes, anything else?
So any questions? Or actually, let's say thank you to Anssi for the short introduction of the company and the products. And thank you guys for listening.
Hi, this is Frederick Stone. I am a DJ and a producer based in Dubai, and I'm here at Dr.Head today for Amphion. I was one of the first customer, I believe, that bought the 125, and I have been nothing but pleased and happy with the speaker, with the delivery, with the sound quality, and I'm even here to maybe upgrade today to buy the subwoofer that comes with it. So yeah, I recommend to anyone to come to Dr.Head and try Amphion as a brand. Just give it a try and see it for yourself. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Nicky Mookie, guitarist and composer. I'm here at the Dr.Head showroom in Dubai, where we had a workshop from Amphion founder Anssi. And man, that was eye-opening, it was awesome. Thank you for the information, thank you for the session. I'm gonna go in and check out these speakers right now.
Hi, my name is Samuel Sabu. I'm an audio engineer and a composer, and I currently work at M&K Studios as an audio engineer. It's a great experience being here at Dr.Head and speaking to the people from Amphion, listening to their monitors. It's a great experience overall, getting to listen to their hi-fi end as well as their studio monitor range of speakers. So yeah, overall just a great experience, meeting good musicians, good friends, good audio engineers, as well as listening to some great speakers.
Hey, my name is JM. I am an audio engineer and I work in audio and film production. Today has been great. We got to see an in-depth look into Amphion and what goes behind the brand and their philosophy and whatnot. It was great to meet a lot of people in the same industry, socialize, get to know each other, and yeah, it's been great so far. مرحبا، أنا JM بشتغل بالأوديو والفيلم برودكشن. اليوم عند دكتور هيد عم نشوف برزنتيشن لأنفيون. تعرفنا على البراند أكثر وعلى الفاوندر كل شيء بيصير وراء الكواليس، وكمان تعرفنا على زملاء بالاندستري تبعنا. It was very nice. So yeah, it was a good day.
Hi, my name is Kev. I'm from Mauritius. It's my first time in Dr.Head store. And from being 13 years in Dubai, for me it's a great opportunity to check out this store because always when we're looking for pro audio equipment in Dubai, you had to go to online solutions and it would take ages to come. Whereas now we have a store where we can directly buy from, so and test it physically. So really happy to see that like pro audio is becoming more and more available in Dubai, and definitely gonna invite some of my friends and check out this place more often.
So the workshop we had today was actually amazing. There's a lot of stuff the CEO was telling us about the products, and it was really interesting. We got to check the studio and get a first-hand experience of the monitors in action, and we tested some of our own music, and the sound was crystal clear. Highly recommend those monitors.
Yeah, we played around in the studio for a while. That was the best part of the day, and now we want to grab a set of speakers.
Definitely, yeah.
Hopefully for our own studio that we're building. So yeah, thank you for having us.
Yep.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Ward. I'm the founder of SkillTech Audio Engineering, and I've been here today at Dr.Head for the Amphion speaker workshop. And I've been very impressed. The owner gave a very good presentation. I learned a lot about speaker design and good practices, and I love the sound of the Amphions, and I like the methodology now talking to the owner. And yeah, so I had a great day, and I'll definitely be coming back.